My wife demanded I apologize to her male best friend for embarrassing him. I said okay. I went to his house with his wife in the room, opened a folder, and said, "I'm here to apologize, but not for what you think." What I revealed next would shatter 2 marriages in under 10 minutes. My name is Lucas Merritt. I'm 44, a senior cloud solutions engineer at a health IT company in Denver. Until 3 weeks ago, I thought my marriage was solid. My wife, Emily, and I have 2 kids, Jake, 17, and Ella, 15. Good kids, good life, or so I thought. Before I go further, if you're watching this, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss how this story unfolds. It's going to get intense, and there's a lesson for anyone who values truth over comfort. Thursday night, I walked through the door after a grueling 13-hour shift. Network outage, multiple urgent tickets, missed lunch, the usual chaos. Emily was waiting in the kitchen with that look. Arms crossed, jaw set. The one that silently says, "You're already wrong." Over the years, I'd learned that look. Perfectly executed. "We need to talk," she said, before I even set down my bag. "About what?" I asked, loosening my tie. "Trevor called," she said, her voice tight. "He's upset about last weekend at the barbecue." Trevor Langston, Emily's best friend for 7 years, married to Sophie. Nice guy on the surface. But lately, the way he and Emily had grown close felt off. "What about it?" I asked, though I knew exactly what she meant. "You embarrassed him," Emily said, sharp and controlled. "When he hugged me after I told him about my promotion, you pulled him aside about boundaries. He felt attacked. His hand stayed on your lower back for a solid 10 seconds. Emily, that's not a friendly hug." "Oh, here we go," she snapped, throwing up her hands. "You're being paranoid. Trevor is my friend. He was being supportive, and you made it weird." I turned to her, voice calm. "I just asked for respect. That's all." "Well, Paige noticed the tension, and now things are awkward between all of us," Emily continued, voice lowering to that calculated tone that meant she'd already decided the outcome. "I need you to apologize to him." I blinked. "Apologize?"
Yes, fix this. Show him you respect our friendship. There it was, our friendship. Not my marriage, not my feelings. Their friendship. I set my glass down slowly, studying her face, the defensive posture, the flush in her cheeks. How had I missed it? Or had I just refused to see? "All right," I said quietly. Emily blinked, surprised. "Really?" "Yes. I'll talk to Trevor, clear the air." Her shoulders relaxed, a small, victorious smile. She had no idea what kind of conversation I was planning to have with Trevor. That night, I lay in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling fan. Emily slept easily, probably relieved that I'd agreed without a fight. Meanwhile, my mind ran through months of tiny, overlooked details. Late-night texts she laughed at but never shared. New perfume she started wearing 6 months ago. The way she angled her phone when I entered the room. The way she said Trevor's name, soft, familiar, like it belonged in her mouth. Around 2 a.m., her phone buzzed 3 times. I waited 5 minutes, then picked it up. No passcode. That was new, or maybe I hadn't noticed before. The previews made my chest tighten. "Trevor, did you talk to him?" "Trevor, is he going to apologize?" "Trevor, I miss you. Hate that we have to be careful." Nothing explicit, nothing that could hold up in court, but the intimacy was there in every exchange. I took screenshots, one by one, methodically, then created a folder on my laptop, and sent everything to myself. Then I went further. Photo gallery, shared albums, cloud backups. A selfie from 3 months ago, Emily in a hotel room, wine glass in hand, soft lighting. Caption, "Sometimes you need to feel alive again." Seattle, during her solo work conference. Trevor posted a photo the same weekend from a waterfront restaurant. The reflection in the window, a silhouette matching Emily's build exactly. I checked our joint bank account. Cash withdrawals, $200 here, $300 there. Hotel charges in cities she claimed to be alone. Over the past year, it added up to nearly $40,000. By 4 a.m., I had a folder full of evidence, facts, not suspicion, patterns, timelines, proof of betrayal stretching back at least 18 months. I returned her phone to the nightstand, exactly as I found it, and lay back down. Emily shifted beside me, murmuring in her sleep, her hand briefly reaching out before settling back. Tomorrow, phase 2 begins. Tonight, I just needed to let the cold, sharp clarity settle. Things were about to get very messy. Friday morning, Emily went to the gym, her new Saturday routine that had started 6 months ago. I had a small window to act. Her laptop, unlocked in the home office. Most of it mundane, until I found a folder labeled Travel Plans. Confirmation emails for hotels. Boston 2 months ago, San Diego last month. 2 guests, king bed, champagne service. Each time, she claimed solo work travel. I photographed everything, then dug deeper into cloud backups, buried in subfolders labeled Backup 2023. A document, titled Notes. A diary. Short entries, devastating. March 15th. Told Lucas I had a client dinner. Trevor met me at the Marriott downtown. He makes me feel 25 again. April 3rd. Another work trip. This is getting easier. Lucas never questions anything anymore. May 20. Trevor says he loves me. I think I love him too. I photographed each page. My hand was steady. Inside, something was reshaping. Not breaking, transforming. Anger would have been simple. This was colder, sharper. Laptop closed. I went downstairs to make coffee. Emily came down, looking fresh and professional and business casual. "You're up early," she said. "Couldn't sleep well?" "Been thinking about that conversation with Trevor. When should I reach out?" She brightened. "Really? Maybe Saturday afternoon. I'll text him today." "Set it up," I said. She kissed my cheek, a quick, grateful peck. I watched her leave, perfume lingering in the kitchen. That perfume Trevor likely bought. After she left, I pulled up property records. Something nagged me. Trevor worked in commercial real estate, decent money, nothing extraordinary, yet he lived well beyond his salary. Corporate filings. Ashford Properties, LLC. VP of Operations, Trevor Langston. My money through an old investment firm had been keeping his company afloat for 5 years. Irony? Almost funny. Almost. Friday afternoon, Jake asked if he could take the car to see his friend Emma. Keys in hand, he drove off. I turned to Ella. "Can I ask something?" I said gently. She looked up from her laptop, pulling out earbuds. "Have you noticed anything different about Mom?" I asked. Her eyes shifted, that look kids get when they know more than they should. "Last month, when you were in San Francisco for that conference, Mom had someone over. I came home early because I forgot my charger. She and Mr. Langston were in the kitchen. They jumped apart when they saw me. She made me promise not to tell you." My chest tightened, but I stayed calm.
"Did they say anything?"
"No, but I knew something was wrong."
I moved to the couch, pulled her close. "It's okay. Whatever happens between your mom and me, it's not your fault. You understand?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. After she went upstairs, I went to our bedroom. Emily was at the gym. Closet opened. Behind winter coats, 3 stacked boxes, men's clothing, designer shirts with tags, leather jacket, cologne, all fitting Trevor, not me. Bottom box, medical paperwork. A clinic visit 8 months ago. An abortion procedure. I had a vasectomy 3 years ago. Emily had known. That baby couldn't have been mine. I photographed everything and put it back exactly as I found it. Phone buzzed. Trevor. "Hey man, Emily said you want to talk. Want to grab a beer this week?" I typed back. "Actually, how about I come by tomorrow afternoon with Paige?" 3 dots. "Sure, see you then." I looked out the window. 24 hours from now, everything changes. I just needed to make one more call first. The next afternoon, I parked in front of Trevor and Sophie's suburban home in Aurora, Colorado. The street was quiet, autumn leaves drifting in the wind, and for a moment it looked like any ordinary Saturday. I took a deep breath, checked the evidence folder in my briefcase one last time, and walked up to the door. Trevor opened it before I could knock, his face lighting up in what I assumed was surprise at seeing me so soon. Sophie hovered behind him, polite but cautious. "Ha! Lucas, hey!" Trevor said, stepping aside. "Come in!" I stepped into their living room, scanning the space like a detective noting every detail. Sophisticated, tasteful, expensive. Too expensive for the salary he claimed he had. I placed my briefcase carefully on the coffee table. "This is Paige," I said, gesturing to the woman standing beside me. Paige Harper. She had been my friend for years, a colleague in the IT world, a person I trusted implicitly. Calm, analytical, and sharp. The kind of person you wanted on your side when navigating chaos. Trevor's smile faltered slightly as he shook Paige's hand. He sensed the storm coming. "Right," I said, taking a seat on the couch. Paige settled beside me. "Emily asked me to apologize to you for what happened last weekend." Trevor blinked, leaning back. "Yeah, that's appreciated, I guess, but..." I opened my briefcase. A neat stack of documents, emails, text messages, photos. I laid them on the table, careful to arrange them chronologically. "Not what you think," I said calmly. "This isn't an apology about a hug or a misunderstanding at a barbecue. This is about the truth. I want you to know what's really been happening while I've trusted my family, my home, and my life to people I thought I could trust." Trevor's mouth opened and closed, like a fish gasping for air. Sophie's hand covered her mouth, eyes wide. Paige glanced at me, a steadying presence, letting me take the lead. "I've documented everything," I continued, pointing to the stack. "Emily's trips, the hotels, financial transactions, communications between you and her. For 18 months, she's deceived me, and you've been part of it. This," I gestured at the photos and documents, "proves it." Trevor's face turned pale. He stammered, "Lucas, it's not, we didn't..." "Stop," I said firmly. "I don't want excuses. I don't want justifications. I want the truth out in the open once and for all. And I want to know where we go from here, for my children, for my family." Paige spoke for the first time, calm, precise, cutting through the tension. "We're not here to humiliate you. This is about accountability. You need to understand the consequences of your actions, for everyone involved." Trevor's shoulders slumped, and, for the first time, I saw fear, genuine fear. I didn't think she'd... I mean, I didn't..." "You didn't think?" I repeated,
voice low but steady. "You were involved. You lied. You stole time from my children, from my trust. You treated my family like a game." Sophie finally spoke, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Lucas, I had no idea it was like this. I swear. I thought—" "You thought wrong," Paige interrupted softly. "You have to accept that. No more denials, no more half-truths." I leaned back, letting my words sink in. The silence that followed was heavy, thick, almost suffocating. They both knew the gravity of what they had done. "I'm not here to destroy you personally," I said, opening my laptop and projecting a few key documents onto the screen. "I'm here because the law needs to be aware. Emily's financial fraud is ongoing. Trevor's complicity can't be ignored. And most importantly, my children, Jake and Ella, need to be protected from this environment." Trevor swallowed hard, his face pale. "Lucas, I can fix this. I'll cooperate. Whatever you need. Please." "You should have thought about that 18 months ago," I said, my voice steady, controlled. "It's too late for excuses. You can only face the consequences now. And trust me, the courts will take everything into account." Paige stepped closer to me, putting a hand on my arm. Her eyes met mine. Support, reassurance, strength. She'd been my anchor through the last 3 weeks, helping me gather evidence, organize the timeline, and maintain clarity when rage threatened to consume me. Sophie sobbed quietly. Trevor tried to comfort her, but flinched every time his eyes met mine. I felt no satisfaction in that. None. Only the relief of control, of clarity, of finally taking action instead of simmering in silent betrayal. Later that evening, I returned home. The kids were at a friend's house for a sleepover. I sat down with Paige at the kitchen table, pouring 2 cups of coffee. "Do you think they understood?" I asked quietly. "They understood. Yes, they're scared, but fear makes people honest, and that's what matters now." I nodded, staring at the stack of printed emails and screenshots I had left on the dining table. Every piece of evidence meticulously organized, every betrayal accounted for. And yet my focus wasn't on revenge, it was on building something new, protecting my children, ensuring they were surrounded by truth, integrity, and love, no matter how much the adults around them had failed. The next week was chaos. Legal consultations, court filings, and constant phone calls. Emily tried to reach me multiple times, apologizing, begging, even threatening. I didn't answer. My attorney, Catherine Montero, was thorough, professional, and unwavering. She assured me the evidence was solid. "You have everything you need to protect your children and hold everyone accountable," she said, during our meeting in her downtown Denver office. "Trevor and Emily underestimated you. They thought you'd fold, that silence would protect them, but you didn't." By the time court day arrived, I felt a mix of exhaustion and quiet determination. Jake and Ella sat with me in the courtroom, hands intertwined with mine. I reassured them repeatedly that this wasn't their fault, that they were loved and safe. The proceedings were intense. Emily's parents, surprisingly, supported me and the children. They were stunned by the evidence, but chose principle over blind loyalty. Trevor's professional reputation began crumbling even before the judge made any ruling. Friends and colleagues withdrew support. His business partner distanced himself. Throughout it all, I maintained composure. Calm, clear, unwavering. I spoke only when necessary, letting the evidence speak louder than my emotions ever could. Paige was there in the courtroom too, a silent support, holding my hand briefly when the tension threatened to overwhelm me. After 6 hours, the judge granted full custody of Jake and Ella to me,
with supervised visitation for Emily under strict conditions. Trevor faced professional investigations and possible charges due to his role in facilitating fraud and deception. Leaving the courthouse, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. The first glimmers of real, tangible hope that my family could heal and rebuild. Paige squeezed my hand, her presence steady and reassuring. Back at home, I called Jake and Ella into the living room. They sat cross-legged on the carpet, nervous but trusting. "I have a decision," I began gently. "You're safe. You're protected. You'll have supervised visits with Mom, but everything else is up to us." Ella hugged me tightly. "Dad, I'm proud of you, for not just taking it, for fighting." Jake nodded. "Yeah, we're proud too. You didn't let her ruin us."
Her words meant more than any legal victory ever could. I realized in that moment that betrayal had forced me to be stronger than I ever imagined. Not vengeful, not broken. Strong, clear, focused. That night, Paige stayed over. We cooked dinner together, laughed with the kids, and for the first time in what felt like forever, our apartment felt like a home again. The past was painful, but it had cleared the way for something better, something genuine. And somewhere deep inside me, I understood this truth. The people who betray us will never understand the depth of what they've lost until it's gone. Months passed after the courtroom victory, and life slowly settled into a new rhythm. Jake and Ella thrived in the structure and security I had fought so hard to create. Paige had become more than a confidant. She was family. She laughed with the kids, comforted them when nightmares came, and supported me as we navigated the complex aftermath of betrayal and broken trust. Every morning, I woke up to the sound of their laughter or the smell of pancakes on the griddle. The chaos of the past seemed distant, almost unreal. And yet, I remained vigilant. I had learned that complacency breeds vulnerability. And after 18 months of deception, I would never take my family or my peace of mind for granted again. One crisp morning in Portland, Paige and I decided to take the kids to the local park. The leaves had turned a fiery orange, and the air was sharp but refreshing. I watched Jake and Ella chase each other, their small feet kicking up leaves. Paige walked beside me, her hand brushing mine. "You've changed, Lucas," she said softly, her voice carrying just enough warmth to make me pause mid-step. "Not just because of what happened, but because of how you handled it." I shook my head, smiling faintly. "I didn't know I could. Betrayal changes you, but it can also teach you what matters most. And what matters most," I glanced at the kids running ahead, "is them." Paige squeezed my hand. "And us. Don't forget us." I laughed. Never. The news about Trevor and Emily trickled in over time. Trevor had been forced to sell off most of his assets to cover financial restitution. Emily's legal troubles continued, with the fraud charges pending, though Catherine assured me a conviction was likely. They were living in two separate, modest apartments now. The power, wealth, and influence they once wielded were gone, replaced with accountability and the consequences of their choices. One evening, I received a call from the Portland Tribune. Lisa Reed, the opinion editor, had seen the letter I sent earlier and wanted to feature my story more prominently. "Readers are inspired, Mr. Miller," she said. "They want to know how someone can rise after such a devastating betrayal. Your courage is resonating." I thought about it for a moment, then agreed. I wanted others to understand that silence protects the wrong people, that dignity and truth matter more than comfort or fear. I spent the night drafting an expanded piece, detailing the entire experience, not for revenge, not for sympathy, but to offer guidance for anyone in a similar situation. The piece went live the next morning. By noon, My phone was flooded with messages from strangers, friends, and former colleagues, all offering support, encouragement, or simply sharing their own stories. The article went viral online, and the local news picked it up. People were moved, inspired, and some even empowered to take action in their own lives. Emily called once more, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and desperation. "Lucas, this isn't fair. You humiliated me publicly." I answered calmly, "I didn't humiliate you. I told the truth. If you feel humiliated, that's guilt talking, not defamation. I shared my story, not yours." She hung up, but the feeling of finality was different this time. I no longer carried anger or resentment. I carried freedom. The real joy, however, came from Paige. She had been quietly navigating her own life while supporting me. One evening, after a long day of work and school meetings for the kids, she sat beside me on the couch, her hand resting lightly in mine. "Lucas, I've been thinking about us, about what this could mean. I know it's fast, with everything I've been through, but I feel real with you." I interrupted gently, squeezing her hand. "I don't care about fast. I care about real. And this is the most real thing I've felt in years." She smiled softly. "I feel the same way." That weekend, Paige came over for dinner with the kids. We cooked together, laughed, and for the first time in months, our apartment felt like a home again. After the kids went to bed, Paige and I sat on the couch, her hand still in mine, sharing comfortable silence. In that moment, I realized that betrayal had broken me open, but it had also made room for something better to grow. Months later, we planned a small wedding in downtown Portland. The chapel was intimate, filled with the people who mattered most. Jake and Ella stood in the front row, excited and proud. Paige's sister was the maid of honor. My oldest friend was best man. Even Emily's parents attended, choosing principle over family loyalty and showing that support and truth could transcend betrayal. Paige walked down the aisle in a simple cream dress. She smiled despite the toll her treatment had taken. 2 rounds of chemotherapy had been grueling, but she was strong, radiant, and determined to live fully, one day at a time. "You look beautiful," I whispered as she reached me. "You clean up pretty well yourself," she whispered back, her eyes twinkling. The ceremony was short, intimate, and perfect. When the minister pronounced us married, Jake and Ella cheered louder than anyone, their joy genuine and infectious. At the reception, I pulled Dylan aside. "I just want to say, I'm really happy for you. Paige is good for you, good for all of us." I nodded. "She is. And you two are good for her." Chloe hugged both of us, smiling. "We're going to be okay, aren't we?" "Better than okay," I promised. Later, as Paige and I danced, she murmured, "Have you heard anything about Emily and Trevor?" I shook my head. "According to the last reports, Emily is living in a small apartment across town, working retail. Their relationship didn't survive reality, and that's poetic justice in my book." 3 months before our wedding, Emily tried one last time. She showed up at my office unannounced, looking older, desperate, thinner. "Lucas, please, can we talk?" she asked. "Really talk," I said, my voice steady. "What do you want?" "I want to try again. An open arrangement. We keep the family intact, but we see other people. The kids need both parents." I stared at her, stunned. The audacity. The years of betrayal? I shook my head slowly. "You destroyed our family. You stole from me, you lied, and now you want to return?" "No. The answer is no. I've moved on. You should too." She left, crying. I felt nothing. No guilt, no anger, just relief.
Dancing with Paige that night, I realized that what mattered wasn't the past or the people who betrayed me. It was the present, the family I had fought for, the love I had chosen, the life I was building, grounded in trust, truth, and joy. A year later, Paige and I looked back at the journey, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons learned, the strength discovered, and the family preserved. Whatever challenges remained, we would face them together, and we would cherish every day, every laugh, every moment of peace. And now, I want to hear from you. If this story inspired you, or if you've ever faced betrayal, injustice, or challenges that seemed insurmountable, take a moment to share your thoughts. Like this video, subscribe to the channel for more true stories, share it with friends, and comment below your perspective or the key lessons you've learned. Your voice matters, and your story could inspire someone else to find courage, hope, and strength. Because at the end of the day, no matter how dark the past may seem, the future belongs to those who fight for truth, love, and family.